Hi everyone, it is Sunday, February 20th, and I am here with another vloggy check-in. So I just finished filming the longest TBR video I think I've ever filmed in my history of being on YouTube. I didn't realize how much I had stacked away to read for March, and in looking at the stack, it's kind of daunting. I think that was just extended by the fact that yesterday I just saw the announcement video for the Gear Up Aurelium Magical Readathon that's happening mid-March, and I still have to read one of my character creation prompts for the character creation section. So on top of that, there were two other prompts that we need to complete before we actually start at the school. I think that's how it goes. And so I had pulled all of these books to set aside for when I was going to film, and then I saw the readathon announcement. I'm like, oh no. So yeah, I probably should have separated out that readathon's TBR, but I just had other things that I wanted to read. Plus, one of the things that I'm reading is a mystery. So I wanted to include it in my March Mystery Madness TBR. But yeah, I'm not sure how long that video is going to be. After editing, I know it's going to get shorter, but it was still a long recorded time. So yeah, and then when I looked at the stacks of things that I absolutely have to read for like my family read through of Percy Jackson, my Monochrome Manga Club selections, the prompts that I have to fulfill for my TBR game, and the read-alongs that I want to participate in that are being hosted by some of the other co-hosts, the stack is large. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to read everything. My reading has kind of been on a downshift lately, but I've also kind of realized that I am not the person that, when they're on vacation, just wants to read and will read a lot when they're on vacation. I've found out that I am actually the opposite. So I have been on vacation for the last 2 weeks. I actually go back to work on Tuesday, so that's the 22nd, and I haven't really picked up anything. There are just other things that I've been wanting to do, like watch the Olympics and knit on my projects, play video games, and reading is not the thing that I've been gravitating towards. So yeah, I don't know if it's just because there have been the Olympics on, and that's something that you need to watch and kind of give your whole attention to, because there are things happening on the screen. I mean, somebody could slide out. There could, be a story about an Olympian's journey to the Olympics and things like that. And yeah, I'm also not somebody who will read during commercials. I'm not that person. I've never done that. Maybe it's just that I've never found a book that I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to know what's happening, and every second that I get, am drawn to that book. I just haven't had those recently. But I don't quite remember even when I've had those that I was the person that would pick it up during a commercial break or something like that. In fact, I try not to watch commercials. So we DVR a lot. I have a Hulu plan that is commercial-less. So yeah, I don't gravitate towards my books, or I haven't while I've been on vacation. So I noticed that happening when I was on vacation in November as well. But yeah, since I am going back to work this week, my reading should pick up for the last part of this month, so I'm hoping to get more things read. But let me tell you where I am as far as my reading goes. So I think when I talked to you last, I was telling you that I had to read my volumes of Death Note. So I did read my chapters because I do have the all-in-one edition of Death Note. I gave those 4 stars. So I'm actually rating them by Black Edition on Goodreads because that's what we're reading for club. And so I gave that one 4 stars. And then I just finished last night R.L. Stine's Broken Hearts, which is the 4th in the Super Chillers series. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I really, really enjoyed that. Other than that, I am continuing to read Velocity, which is the 3rd book in the Karen Vale mystery series by Alan Jacobson. I read a little bit more last night when I finished Broken Hearts, but it's still slow going for me. I'm on page 165, so I did finish my 100 pages to mark or count that as complete for my TBR game, so that's good. I do still need to read my 4 or 3 plus volumes of manga, which technically I have read because I've read 6 volumes of manga this month already. But there is something that I want to get read for March Mystery Madness prep, because there's a video that I want to do, so I need to get that read so that I can do the video that I want to do. But yeah, that's where my reading is at right now. Oh, and I also started Percy Jackson number 2, which is The Sea of Monsters. I popped this in on audiobook when I was scouring my shelves for things to read or to put to my TBR for March Mystery Madness. And so I'm on chapter 8 right now, which is page 107. So I'm looking forward to continuing with that one. I'm really, really enjoying that one as well. I did remember a couple more things that happened so far, which was great. So yeah, that's where my reading is at right now. I told you I filmed my TBR video, so I also filmed 3 other videos. So including this one, I filmed my wrap-up section to talk about the things that I had read for the next section. And then I filmed my Monochrome Manga Club Series First Impressions videos for this month's Manga Club selections. So yeah, there's been a lot of filming so far today, and that's pretty much everything I've done since I talked to you last. I haven't really knit on my project, but that has to do with the fact that I just realized that I was knitting it kind of in the wrong style. So if you are familiar with knitting, there are a couple different ways or techniques you can use to knit. There's the English style, and then there's continental, and there's also Portuguese, I believe. I believe those are the 3. I typically will knit English or continental. More often than not nowadays, I knit continental because that is the easiest on my hands. But sometimes when I can't get gauge with continental style knitting, I will go back to English style knitting because that is how I had taught myself. When I taught myself how to knit, I actually taught myself out of a book. And so it was at a time where I wasn't aware that there were other things on YouTube that you could find, like how-to videos. I didn't watch YouTube at all, actually, at that time. I knew it was available, but I didn't use it as a resource. And so I picked up one of those how-to books from Walmart and a pair of knitting needles, and I had yarn because I do know how to crochet, and I have crocheted since I was 12. But yeah, I needed something new to do, taught myself how to knit. So I taught myself English style because that is how it was presented in the book. So fast forward to me screwing up on my project. I was knitting away on my V-back tee while we were watching the Olympics. And I was like, the stitches look a little bit bigger than they did before, like earlier on in the project. And by this point, I had already knit like 2.5 inches on the shirt. And I was like, did I knit this English instead of continental? I am almost positive that's what I did. And so it's not really noticeable. Like, I was showing it to my daughter and she could pick out where there was a difference, but she said that it wasn't really noticeable. So I don't know. I've been going back and forth with the should I rip it back and continue from there, or should I just continue? And I think I'm just going to leave it the way it is and continue and just go back to English style knitting. I'm hoping things will block out a bit when I give it a bath, but yeah, I'm not very happy with myself. But, you know, that's what happens when you don't work on a project for a really long time and you forget about it. And that is exactly what happened with the V-back tee. So, yeah. It's my fault. I should rip it back, but like I said, there's about 2.5, 3 inches worth of work. And it's not so noticeable. I don't think that somebody's going to be like, oh, what's wrong with your shirt when I'm wearing it? So, yeah, besides the fact that it is a knitted shirt, it's not knit in a really tight gauge like a sock, so you can still see through it. So obviously, I will be wearing a shirt underneath the V-back tee, or a camisole or something, other than just the shirt and my undergarments. But yeah, so I'm not too concerned about that, but it's still one of those things where I was just like, I don't want to work on this project anymore for the time being. You know what I mean? I'm sure you know what I mean. So yeah, that is why I haven't knit on anything lately. I have been enjoying playing Gems of War. And like I said, I am going back to work this week. So I'll be going back to listening to my audiobook during lunch and things like that. So that'll give me a little bit more reading time. And obviously heading to bed a little bit earlier because I have been staying up a lot later than I normally do while I'm on vacation. And that's just usually what happens. So yeah, that's everything that I have been up to since I talked to you last. I'll be back with you one more time before the month is over to wrap up this vlog. So I hope you're all having a great one, and I will talk to you later. Hi everyone, it is Sunday, February 27th, and I am here to wrap up this diary entry. So today I had my little casual chat for March Mystery Madness in our Discord voice chat room. I had one of the other hosts, Janelle, join me, and one of our members came by to chat, and it was just a nice time. We just spent some time chatting about some of the books that we were reading and some plans that we have for March Mystery Madness. And so yeah, that was for about an hour and a half or so. And then I needed to finish up some of my reading for the month. As you know, I did have one outstanding prompt for my TBR game, so I definitely didn't want to pull a punishment in March because I had filmed my TBR video without that, so yeah, didn't want to pull a punishment after the fact, so I did get that done as well. So while we're talking about something that I finished reading recently, let me tell you about what I rated the other books that I have finished since I talked to you last. So I read or listened to Simon R. Green's Agents of Light and Darkness. This is the second book in the Night Side series. I read this one for the Bookish Bryant's February Fantasy Stories readathon in February, and I ended up rating this one 3 stars. I think I rated it on Goodreads as 3 stars, but this is more like a 2.5. I definitely didn't enjoy this one as much as the first one, I would say. And of course, I did just film my wrap-up video, and I can't even remember what I said in that. I think I said that I enjoyed it about the same as the first one, but I definitely feel like the first one was more enjoyable for me. But that being said, I will not be continuing with that series. It's just not one that is calling to me. And I feel like if you're going to continue a series, it should be calling to you. And yeah, so I'm glad to have read those. I'm glad to have participated in the Bookish Bryant's February Fantasy Stories readathon. But unfortunately, not going to be continuing with that series in the future. I also finished listening to book 2 in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series, The Sea of Monsters. I'm still really, really enjoying this one. Gave this one 5 stars. I remembered a lot of what had happened in that one, so that was fun. And then just a little while ago, I finished the manga series A School Frozen in Time. This one has art by Naoshi Arakawa, story by Mizuki Tsujimura, published by Vertical, rated 16+, so that's older teen. And I ended up giving this series overall 4 stars and each volume 4 stars. I am glad that I marathon read through this entire thing, and this is what completed my prompt for my remaining Rotating Decks TBR game prompt for February. So yes, I'm really glad that I had the time to marathon through all of this and made the decision to do that, because I think if I had read it volume by volume by volume as it was released, there would have been a lot of things that I would have missed, and I wouldn't have been able to put together the mystery before it was revealed. So I did put together the mystery before it was revealed, but this one also provided a bit of twists and turns, and I appreciated that in this story as well, because I dislike it when I have stories, mysteries, where I figure everything out and then I'm just waiting. Do you know what I mean? So this definitely was one that provided other things for me to take interest in when I had still already figured out the mystery portion. But yes, I really enjoyed this and gave each volume 4 stars. And I would definitely say overall it's a 4-star series for me. I'm not sure how many times I would reread this one. I definitely think that I want to give that one a little bit of time before I reread it again, because I do feel like I missed a couple things in a few of the storylines, because that series does give you glimpses into all of the characters' pasts. And so yeah, I just think that maybe there were little things that I might have missed, because you know how when you redo something and then you go back and you reread it, you always pick up on more things. While I had already figured out like kind of the mystery aspect of it, like I said, I think there's still more things to be like picked up on. So I'm looking forward to getting through that one again in the future. But I wouldn't say it's a series I love and adore, especially because it does deal with the suicide of a high school student, and we are talking about hardships of each of the characters that we meet. So yeah, I enjoyed that one, and I am glad that I took some time to just sit down and enjoy an entire series today. So that's everything I've read. I've read quite a bit this month, a lot more than I thought I was going to end up with by the end of the month, especially with the difficulties I was having getting through Velocity by Alan Jacobson. I am still reading that book, but I'm just taking it as it comes right now, because there were things I wanted to get done by the end of February. I did put that one on the back burner, but that's okay, because I finished the amount of pages that I needed to clear it for my TBR game, and it is a mystery, so it definitely fits for March Mystery Madness. And yeah, so I am still struggling through that. I do want to read it. I do, but it's taking a really long time, and I don't understand why. I feel like this one should be moving along, especially because it's got short chapters. There's a lot of stuff going on, but I feel like I sit there for half an hour, and I'm not getting anywhere. That page count doesn't climb, and I don't know why. So, yeah, I ended up giving myself the permission to put the book down for a little bit so that I could get some other things read for the month. And I think that was a good decision to make because I was able to finish quite a bit. But yes, I will continue to read that one. And then I am also in the middle of Scavenger Hunt by Christopher Pike. So I wanted to read a lot more things for my Flashback February Reads project, and I just didn't this month. I did end up reading Broken Hearts, which I talked about earlier. So that's great because that's definitely one that I wanted to get read in the month of February, considering it had to do with Valentine's Day. But that was the only book for my Flashback February Reads project that I was able to complete. I think had I not been on vacation in February, I probably would have read a lot more. But like I said in the previous clip, I figured out that while I'm on vacation, reading is not the thing I want to do. So, yeah, I am just about halfway through this. I am on page 90. And this one, well, maybe not. This one has 215 pages, so I am enjoying this one as well. I know this is my original copy also from when I was a kid, and I did read this one, but again, it's another one where I don't quite remember what happened. I remember the covers more than anything. So, yeah, I am enjoying that one, and I don't think I'm going to be able to finish that one before the end of February since I do have to work tomorrow, and it's already pretty late tonight. It's about 8:25 in the evening, and so, yeah, it's been quite a busy day with, the meeting and then getting my last thing for my February TBR prompt read. And yeah, so I think I am going to get ready for some late dinner. Yes, late dinner. Daughter's been working on a project that she needs to complete for school or a paper or something. So she's been tucked away in her room practically all weekend doing that. And so I've kind of been all by my lonesome today because Mom was working as well, which is fine because I got some reading done and I had my meeting. And so, yeah, just trying to line up everything for March Mystery Madness because it's going to be madness. It's going to be a busy month. I had tried to order a book cart from Amazon just because I had quite a few books that I had pulled out for my March Mystery Madness TBR, and I didn't want to just have a stack lying around, and so, yeah, I tried to buy a TBR cart, and it got lost in transit, so I ended up pulling out an old plastic bookcase. Yes, it's plastic. I got it from Walmart when we first moved to the mainland, so it is also very old because I've been on the mainland for a while now. But I ended up pulling it out, and it is a lot shorter because the bottom, it's one of those ones that you, put together like this, and then it just, is plastic. So there's no, hooks or screws or anything like that. They just kind of settle on top of each other. It's a 3-tier type plastic bookshelf that will lean up against your wall. So it's got little rubber, topper things to protect the wall that it's leaning on, and then there's 3 shelves, like little trays. So I ended up pulling that back out, and so it's shorter because the bottom 2 sections cracked and crumbled because it's so old, but the rest of it still works. And so I pulled that out to use instead. I think I'll eventually go up to Michael's and pick up a book cart there because that's where I got my first one. And the only reason why I'm not using my first one for my TBR books is because it's already full. When I first got it, I filled it with books that I was really interested in reading. And that's pretty much where the books have stayed. I go through every once in a while and I pull one out to read, but yeah, there's a lot of translated work on that bookshelf, and so it's or that book cart. So they're definitely books that I want to read, but I keep forgetting about them. So yeah, I need to work on that too. But yeah, so that happened this week. And then, I had a delivery that was about a month late. So back in December, I was starting to think about projects that I could do with my yarn advent calendars, because if you watched my Vlogmas videos, you saw that in that series of videos, I was opening up a yarn advent calendar. So every day I got a new mini skein of yarn, and I didn't know what to do with that. A lot of people will do little blankets, and so every yarn skein that they get, every day they do a little square to add to their blanket, and I didn't want to do a blanket. There are a couple different shawl projects that people have, or patterns that people have come up with that use advent calendars, yarn advent calendars. And I'm not a shawl wearer. I've knit a couple. In fact, I have a pretty large one still on the needles, but I don't wear them. So I didn't want a shawl. And so I've been thinking about what I was going to do, because at this point I have 3 separate yarn advent calendars that haven't been used. So I want to use that yarn. So when I was watching some of the knitting podcast Vlogmas videos in December, one of them was doing a sweater, a striped sweater, a pullover. I call them a sweater, but I think more often here on the mainland, the word pullover is more what's used. I don't know. Some of the things that we talk about in Hawaii are completely different from how it's said here on the mainland. And so because I was born and raised, and for still at half of my life at this point in my life, lived in Hawaii, I just use different terms, I guess. So it's a pullover. So kind of like a sweatshirt, I guess. A knitted sweatshirt. That doesn't sound right, but you know what I mean, right? So this lady I was watching, the Sock Witchery podcast, she was using a striped sweater, striped pullover pattern to use her yarn advents, and I was like, oh, that's a good idea. That particular pattern is already striped, so it's got instructions for all of that, but I didn't want to do that pattern because the neckline was really high, and I have a problem when garments have necklines that are too high and they sit too high up on my neck, because then I feel like I'm choking. So I didn't want to use that one. And so I think I found one that will work for me, and it's a free pattern, so that's great. It's actually one that I had done before. So it's the Flax sweater by Tin Can Knits, but it's going to be the Flax light version because all of my yarn advent calendars are fingering weight yarn. So anyway, that's a long explanation about I ended up ordering a cone of fingering weight yarn from Brown Sheep Fiber Company or something like that. And when I had ordered it, they had emailed me and said, oh, it's back ordered, so the delivery is going to be delayed a couple of weeks, which is fine because, I had other things to do, and I still have other things to do. But it finally came back in stock after a month and a half, I think. Supply chain issues, I didn't mind. Again, I wasn't in urgent need of it. So they finally emailed me and said, okay, it's back in stock. We're getting this shipped out to you. And I got a tracking number and everything. So that was at the end of January. And then it said it was delivered, but it wasn't delivered to my mailbox. So I've had that happen before. I live in a place where our mailboxes are all in one area. So we live in a house, but the mailboxes are like communal, in a communal area. So everybody's mailbox in the community is in one place. So we recently had a switch with our mail carrier, the person who comes here to deliver our mail, and that person's been screwing up the deliveries. So I had that happen in November with an order of books that I had ordered from Thrift Books, and eventually it got back to me. But I figured the same thing happened again because tracking definitely says that it was delivered, so I've just been kind of waiting, and I didn't want to go back to the yarn company because it's not their fault. And so, yeah, I figured I'll just wait. It'll eventually come to me, and that it did. It got delivered yesterday, and I was so happy. And it's the perfect color, so yeah. Now I have that, but it was 2.5 months from when I ordered the yarn. Finally got to me, so yeah. So that's pretty much everything. I mean, I went back to work last week, came back to 577 emails in my inbox, and got through all of those by the end of the week, only to be off again and have my inbox fill up again. So I'm not looking forward to going back to work tomorrow, but I am excited to start getting into all of the March Mystery Madness festivities. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm sad that I won't be able to participate in the live show, but with time zones and everything and my work schedule, it is what it is. So I probably should remember to take time off the very last week of February. I didn't do that this year because I took off for the Olympics, and that's going to be a running thing for me. I'm going to take off of work when there's Olympics. So that's not going to be for another 2 years again. But yeah, I'm looking forward to all of the festivities, and that will pretty much do it for me for the month of February. So let me know down in the comments below if you did anything fun and exciting in February, what your most favorite book in February that you read was. If I am looking at my stack here, I would probably have to say that my favorite read of February was probably The Sea of Monsters. That is the one that I definitely enjoyed the most, I would have to say, even though it was a reread. Yeah, if you didn't have a favorite book in February, let me know what your least favorite book in February was. I would love to know that as well, or something fun and exciting you did in the month of February. If nothing else, you would just like to let me know that you were here. If you could like this video and leave me a 4-leaf clover emoji down in the comments below, that would be greatly appreciated and would really help me out because I need all the luck that I can get for all of the reads I have planned in March. So I hope you're all doing great. I hope you're all safe and healthy. And until next time, take care and smile always. Bye.